Okay, we identify so much with our human physical bodies being objects, with this physical world being objects. And that belief system of this world being materialistic, and the foolishness, the planned foolishness of the academic society and academia to tell us that the brain is, all we are and all this stuff is just, utterly ridiculous. And if you think I'm crazy, then you could probably just turn this off because you probably don't want to hear about the actual truth of your soul. So when I say soul, I talk about ocean and a drop. The ocean is the whole universe, the whole cosmos. And when you are born, a piece of that spirit, that ocean, is inverted and precipitated down into a drop of manifestation that is you and me, or a tree, or a bird, or an animal of any kind, or anything, to be honest, because everything is consciousness, just in different stages. Rocks are conscious, they're just not at the stage of level where they're going to have a conversation with you. But if you are sensitive enough, you can pick up different rocks and they will drastically or give you very different impressions of themselves and communicate with you in a different way. So, objects. When you're, what are we seeing in the world? People get objectify women, objectify this or whatever. And what does that mean? Well, look at our whole society. Everything is upside down. I've explained that, I'm not going to go through all that. It's just all turned upside down. Why? Because the belief is that a human being is a physical creature, which is a complete lie. A complete, utter, disastrous lie for all of humanity. Because then you operate from a completely different point of view. You operate from objects being your life. Objects are life. Objects are the whole reason we are alive. Do you see the difference? It immediately switches the whole thing. Because you're not a spirit that's come here, that's looking through the eyes of a body that's just a vehicle that's going to allow you to fulfill your destiny while you're walking through the mystery that is this whole universe, this one song of creation. It's a mystery. If you really want to feel and experience life, get all the damn labels out of your head. Get back. They say you have to enter the kingdom of heaven or whatever. I don't like the word kingdom and I don't like the word heaven. But to enter back into your soul space, to reclaim your soul, is a completely different thing. Because when you do that, you empower yourself completely. All of a sudden, you are part of the whole universe. Everywhere you go, you're intrinsically connected to everything else around you. You're not out of sync. When you turn the whole thing upside down and you think you're a solid object that's just going to die one day, that has no meaning while you're here. You want to be a good person. You don't want to, you want to take care of the people you love, and you want to have some fun. You want to experience things. You want to learn how to play the guitar or the piano, go rock climbing or whatever. You can do all these things, but really? That's why we're here? Just to accumulate objects, have relationships with people, and learn how to play some games and all these things? No, sorry. We're way too intelligent, and so much is going on for every single human to buy that somehow, we're all just here just to kind of randomly go around and consume stuff. So, let's all agree that we're not here just to consume stuff. Okay. So, your soul. Guess what? Guess where it resides? It's really simple. Everything I share with people is really simple unless I teach you Jyotish. It's very simple. It exists in the present moment. It exists right here, right now, beating in your chest in the present moment. That soul energy is flowing down from the heavens. That's why they look up, and up is always superior, right? Even in the body, they call it superior and inferior. Above is better. Why? That's not just an accident. Words, reveal, if you look further into them, principles of the actual one song of creation. This mystery has some things that we know about. A lot that we know about it, but we're just scratching the surface. But we have a lot of tools. We can get a lot done. We could be magical beings if we had the present moment. But we don't have the present moment. We're raised to think of goals, think of the future. Not that those things are bad, that's not the point. Your future and your goals, well, there is no future, but goals that come through the present moment and end up occurring that we call the future. Because nothing ever happens in the past or the future, it always happens in the present moment. You can plan it or think about the past, you can project your mind into the future, but those don't exist. You're still sitting in the same place. That flow from above is a vertical path. The consumption path is the horizontal path. You look around the world right now, especially in the Western world, the total capitalistic consumerism where we just make something, you sell it, it's a new cool thing, it's flimsy, you throw it out in a year, you buy another one. That whole mentality of planned obsolescence, this whole capitalistic feeding machine that is destroying all the resources on the planet and destroying the psyche of humanity by turning it into this consumption thing that somehow life is about objects and consuming them and then you die. Now that's what the people that control are entities, the energies, the big time, 1% or the 0.01% of 1% that are really making decisions of how this world is functioning. That's what they want. So you have to understand this is not because humanity, I call it hermanity because her and man are in there and all man come out of her. So humanity, let's just get over it, okay? And there is no equality of the sexes. That is bullshit. There's no equality of the polarity charge on a battery. You need them to be different. That's the whole point. Them telling us that we're the same is basically stripping us of our gender identity. And that doesn't mean a woman can't be good at things that men do, or men can't be good at things that women do. That has nothing to do with it. It's not a freaking gender caste system I'm talking about, and I'm not going into that right now, but just understand that's what I'm saying. Because without sexuality, without polarity, you make everybody neutral, and you end up with eunuchs. You end up with neutered human beings that have no power, right? That's the exact same thing that political correctness does. It's a way of changing speech, manipulating speech and language, because they know people are living by how language dictates to them in their brain. And if they can change it just enough, they can manipulate the way we process information. And that way that they manipulate that into, what they manipulate it into, is a container that keeps us getting further and further removed from our own self-awareness, our own self-responsibility, our own feeling nature. Everything wants to get turned into thinking. They don't want you to feel. That's why do you think there's antidepressants and all this stuff everywhere? They don't want you to feel. Because when you feel and you own your body and you inhabit your body, you're way more powerful and you're a lot harder to control. So that's why they do all these things, to make a small fracture. And the PC language, you can't say someone's a liar. Oh, that's just disingenuous. I mean, someone's on TV telling a straight, bold-faced lie that's going to get people murdered. And the person on the other side of the table says, well, that's just disingenuous. Do you see how that neuters truth? It just destroys it. Because you can't just say that's a lie. You see, when someone says that disingenuous, it just means, oh, you're just not being, you just don't really, I mean, come on, disingenuous. You just being disingenuous. What does that word even mean? It just means you kind of just don't care or something. You're just not really wanting to play fair or whatever. I mean, I know it's got a definition. I'm just saying. When you hear it, you don't hear lie. You don't hear liar. When you hear those two words, you think and you see that person and you know that the other person's right and that person's lying. All of a sudden, they're not acceptable anymore. Your brain will turn them off and not listen to any more of the shit that they're going to, all that vomit of lies that they do in the media, you're not going to listen to that person anymore. If you call them a liar and you lie and you know that. But if the person says they're disingenuous, you're just sitting there, drinking your tea, disingenuous, whatever, okay. And you keep listening to the guy, and next thing you know, you're trapped in this PC language world of neutered language. Anyway, horizontal path versus vertical path. The vertical path, the reason we always look above is not only because the people that helped create our species, Homo sapiens sapien, came from the sky. That is a huge part of our DNA, that's why we like above. But above also because everything precipitates from space downward into solid, which is also consciousness into space and down into solids, okay? So the same thing happens in the body. The top of your head when you're a baby is open. Why is it open? Because that's where you're coming from. Like I told you, you are the whole ocean becoming a drop. The whole ocean of what? The one song of creation, the Uni-Verse. The one song, Uni-Verse, one song of creation. And all of it comes and gets turned and starts spiraling, and a drop of it goes in and gets inverted into your body. That's why it comes through the crown of the head. The foramen magnum is open. No, foramen magnum is back there. No, sorry. The fontanelles on the top of the head are open. When you take that first breath, that spirit enters down the spine, which is the river of life, which controls everything in your body. That's why break your spine, you lose all kinds of abilities. And then it goes down the spine and into the sacrum, which is which is connected to the word sacred. So the sacred sacrum then becomes the chariot for your consciousness, for the drop of your universal one consciousness, the ocean, into the drop. The drop gets centered by that sacrum, which then the bones when you're born are loose. There's 5 loose bones in the sacrum, right? 5. Why? 5 senses, 5 fingers, 5 toes. We're in a universe. At least this universe is based on 5 elements. At least this planet, maybe different planets have different systems. I don't know. I haven't been to one, so can't tell you about that. But it's 5 elements. That's why you look down at your hand. Why is there 5? Why is there 5? Why is there 5 bones in your sacrum? It is so. So be it. The universe has Fibonacci, has all this planned sacred geometry. It does what it does. Okay. So, then what happens? The sacrum forms around your soul's awareness. And look at you when you first come in. You're a blank slate. Usually that's because someone's wiped you, but well, that's another story. Tabula rasa, they call it, the blank slate. You look at a baby, it's not like a baby sitting there looking up at you thinking about, oh, I gotta go pay my taxes, for my last life or whatever. Imagine they die right when they're doing their taxes, they're stressed out, right? And they're born in this life, and the first memory they have when they come into the bodies, they look it up and they're thinking, taxes, I gotta pay my taxes. So it's probably good that we're not born like with a bunch of memories. Right? Isn't that fun? But the point being, then the sacrum fuses around you and becomes your sacred chariot. Your sacred chariot, which is your human body. That's why your human body is so sacred to you, because it's the container for the flow of your soul. Now let's be very careful here. When I say soul, it is a present moment thing. The present moment is a flow. It is a dynamic intelligence in the present moment. That's why I call it the dynamic present moment awareness. That is your soul. Now, you've seen happy people, you've been very present in your life at some point in your life. Maybe you're writing, doing whatever. And you're very present. Okay? And it's really annoying to get distracted by my cats. Get out of here. And the present moment flow. That's where your soul exists. It's not an object. Okay? The closest thing I can come to as it being an object is the 7, is it 7 or 9? I think it's 7. Whatever. The refined drops of ojas that live in the heart is the closest I can come to as a physical, kind of thing that resonates with the soul. But where is that? Where do they reside? Those drops reside in the heart. The heart is the center of your body. The heart creates a giant electromagnetic field, well, compared to the brain. And what does that electromagnetic field do according to physics? It never ends. It literally extends from your body to the edges of this universe. That's what they say. That's what physics says. That's what and it's just like that thing where you draw a line and you draw the next line halfway, and you draw the next line halfway, and you draw the next line halfway. You never, if you can do that in your mind, you're always doing half. So it still keeps getting drawn, but it gets so small, but it can never stop. It's a form of infinity. Well, that form of infinity is in the living human body is your own heart. It is the own flow of your consciousness, which is the drop of the ocean of the one song of creation through your body. You got me? Can you hear that? And it exists in the present moment. Yeah, of course, when you're distracted and all this stuff, it's not like your soul leaves, but it gets scattered. It's like I like to say, it's like you take a knife, like instead of spreading butter on your toast, you're taking your soul and your mind is scattering it. It's just spreading it all over into your astral body, into the past, into your past memories, into your future projections. It's just scraping and scattering and doing all these things. Well, guess what? There's a way out of that. There's a way to not have your soul spread out all over the place. And if you look at people around, you go to the stores and stuff, look at people's eyes, are they smiling? Are they having fun? Look at their body posture. Most people that I see, probably 90%, seriously, are miserable. Miserable. Why? Because of what we started this whole conversation with. Objectification, objects. They think they're a physical object. And thus, their potential as a human soul is reduced to probably like 0.05%. And yeah, I make that big. Why? Because if you literally only think you're physical, that doesn't mean you can't be successful in this world. You can make a lot of money and build a lot of things, but guess what? They're all going to be destroyed one day. They're all going to go away. You're going to die. The building you built is going to fall down. The children and the lineage you created is going to die off. Everything dies. That's masculine essence. You have to perceive that. That's how the depth of the witness discovers clarity. It has to understand that everything dies. Everything dies. So, why not let the past and the future and all these projections of your mind that are all connected to things that are going to die, why not let them all go? And have real freedom in the vertical flow of your consciousness, the drop of the ocean of conscious, the soul of the part of the spirit. Why not let that flow down through your body? Make every cell tingle. Why not turn that 100-watt light bulb in for a 1,000,000-watt surge of energy constantly through you? Why not open up every cell and be accepting and receiving, and also at the same, which is feminine essence, but also anchored with depth and vision and clarity about your purpose in this incarnation. If we're not objects, then there's this other possibility, which is why I say the human potential is so limited if you think you're an object, because there's this other possibility. You were put here for totally different reasons than to be a physical thing. Your presence has effect. Anyway, going back to, we can change this. Do you want to be scattered everywhere? No. All these people are all depressed and sad and unfortunate, it's a bummer. So how do we get from here to there? How do we get from living this kind of life that's horizontal instead of vertical? Well, the first step is to understand that there is a part of you that's always with you that never changes. Unlike what we just said about death and everything changing, there's a part of you that's always with you, and you know it's there because it's your, you know it's there. Let me give you an example. Go back to when you're younger, say 8, 9, 10, I don't know, 12, whatever, and just pull up a memory of something that you can remember that was, you know, pretty big deal. Just something, you know, you won a medal, or, you know, you had a motorcycle accident. No, you were 12. You wouldn't be having motorcycle accidents. So we gotta have jokes too, like in the middle of this. But go back and find a memory. I found one. Okay, now that, you could say, where's that memory? What's fallen in your brain? Yeah, but there was something there that's not there now, that's here, that you're not there in the past now. So how do you see that? Well, it's my memory in my brain. Well, what was there seeing it then that's now seeing you now? Also pull up the memory out of your brain. There's still something there. People like to call it the watcher. I like to call it the witness. There's a witness behind all of your identification, everything you believe you are. There's a witness. And you can scroll back through your life. Your professions change, you date different people, you think differently, you do all of these things, all these object type things change, but there's one part of you that's there, that's always watching it, that never changes. And that part of you is your soul awareness. It's the witness. And that part of you is the flow, the vertical flow through your body, through the top of your head, down through your feet, creating your aura with a present moment heart. When you're in the present moment, boom. That same thing that never changes, that is that moment, that is you in the moment. They're completely related. So, what do? We practice being in the present moment. Well, how do we do that? That's a good question. Everybody's different. That's where you get into tools and practices. The only issue is with, most of the world, people do yoga and martial arts and all these things, but they don't actually understand the goal, the ultimate goal with real depth. They're doing it for objective reasons. They want to lose weight. They want to be in better shape. They want to be able to defend themselves. They want to be, well stretched out. That's good and all. But what about transforming not only every moment of your life through practicing present moment awareness, but why not take all those tools and those things and actually add this layer to it? Because I don't remember having a teacher that taught to me exactly this way. That, you can learn at any moment if you're allowing the witness to be the one in charge, not your mind. Now, the witness is most easily found through three things. That's it. Space, silence, and the witness. So I like to say the space and the silence are the two hands that you have, and the witness is obviously the third eye. And between your two eyes in the middle of your brain, the pineal gland, the gland that actually activates the ability to allow that cosmic light to come down more and more from the cosmos, which is sitting there waiting for you. It's always there, to allow it to come down through that fontanelle in the top of your head into your body and to fulfill you. Because do you want to be fulfilled by objects, by expectations of people outside of you, your parents, your family, your friends, the expectations of the friggin' sick society and sick media people, all of this? Look at all of the just utter perversion of humanity. Like, if you can hear what I'm saying and about this vertical path, now look at how the world looks when everybody's stuck in the horizontal path of consumption, consumerism. You are an object. Your brain is the epitome of what you are, and there's nothing that's going to leave you when you die. You're just going to die and go get buried. That's why cemeteries are the most foolish human creation, but they'll go away as we get out of Dwapara Yuga. Sometime we'll realize that all that land to bury the body, which is not who the person is a pretty stupid ritual. It's pretty immature, okay? Maybe not stupid, but it's extremely immature. To take up land just to bury something you're attached to, because then, 200 years later, everybody that knew that person's gone, but that land still has this box in the ground with nothing in it. What does that serve? How does that serve humanity? Doesn't serve anybody. And because we're so conditioned by society and the cultures and all that, the upside down, we go along with that. We think we're objects, so we keep burying bodies because we're attached to them. If we knew, as Uncle Phil was dying, and you were at his deathbed, or you watched him leave, if you really truly knew inside yourself, that's what it always comes back to, is direct experience within oneself, which is that present moment vertical path flowing through you in the present moment. Direct experience, not talking about stuff, not listening to some video about somebody else's ideas. It's an actual experience. Don't you want to have an actual experience? Don't you want to own an actual experience? Just have it with you. You can just carry it around. You don't even need any pockets. You don't need any luggage. You just carry it around. Your soul's joy, your soul's abundance, your soul's love and light. Love is what light feels like. When you let more light flow through you, which I would call also cosmic consciousness, we could call it light. When you relax and allow more of that to flow through you, it feels like, it vibrates like the word that we call love. So don't you want more of that? Don't we all want more of that? So how do we flip the script? Well, stop participating in horizontal thinking, horizontal living. You have to find, first off, that place that never changes within yourself. Sit down in a quiet place, close your eyes, and then find it in the morning. Just try to find that space, silence, witness. It's a nice triangle. Get yourself some good space, find some silence. And that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be in the physical world, okay? Do you understand? You could be cramped on a bus with a screaming kid. It's not external. I'm saying find your space and your silence. It exists inside of you. You have to explore yourself. You have to experiment with yourself. All these religions and fake things all make you go outside, outward. That's all a lie. All of it's a lie. Look at what it's done to the world. It's all upside down. It's turned everything upside down because it makes you an object. The answer's outside. No, the answer's inside. It's only inside. Only inside ever. Can you get things from outside that remind you of the truth inside? Yes. But that's just a mirror. And since everything in the universe, the one song of creation, is you, then you're mirroring to yourself. So it's kind of cool. So find your space and your silence. It's a skill. But when you do it, you have it. When I say space, like find your body. Can you feel your feet right now? If I say think of your feet, do your attention literally go to your feet? Like, can you feel them? Like if I say feel your heart beating in your arm, can you feel your heartbeat going through your arm? Can you feel the blood going through your body? Can you feel? That's one huge part that they keep taking away from everybody. The upside down disease care system just gives everybody chemicals, fake pharmaceutical chemicals, just to basically hurt people, make people less feeling, make them not as intelligent, and to make a lot of money. Oh my God, they make so much money. And then murder a bunch of people. So anyway, that's the side story. So, your space and your silence is within you. That witness, the witness knows, the heart knows. They're the same thing. The witness and the heart, they play off each other. The pineal gland and the brain very much communicates all about light. That's what the whole gland does. It communicates about what? Light. Yes, they put a man a long, long way underneath ground in a cave, and his pineal gland was still able, and he stayed down there a long time, and he still slept when it was dark outside, even though he couldn't see it, and he worked during the day. Why? With no clock, and they sent him with no clock of any sort. So they were trying to see if he would get lost. But the pineal gland picked up photons of light through like a mile of rock or something. I don't know how far it was. I don't want to say the number, but it was a long way. And his brain still picked it up and still responded and kept him on track, kept him in rhythm. So isn't it funny how I was just saying that light, when it flows through your body, feels like love, vibrates like the feeling of love? And the pineal gland, the third eye, which all these mystic traditions speak about, and they talk about it being the consciousness center. What does it do? It deals with light. Hello, did I say that right? Light. Okay. So here we go. Let the light into your heart. We sing songs about this stuff all the time, but unless you get it in a package like I put it in, that you can pull the bow off, which is the present for the present moment, you're going sideways. We need a simple language. They always want to make this stuff complicated because then you go sideways, end up in the upside down, or just takes so long to figure it out that you're basically about to die before you get there. Your third eye deals with light. Your heart emits a field, electromagnetic field. That's why we don't walk up and just sit right next to somebody, because you instinctively, your heart senses everything around you and feels those fields. And you always create just enough space so that no one feels like imposed upon. That's intrinsic. Do you see that? That's intrinsic. Unless somebody's like insane, or not insane, but totally unstable, then they might break that code. But most people, almost everybody does it. That's because it's intrinsic. Just like the light being the light sensor being the third eye in your brain, and the heart being the electromagnetic field, that can do what? Predict and sense. Well, it can sense, not predict. Well, yeah, they're the same thing, I guess, in this regard. They can sense and predict the future. I just like being really clear with words. They could be, why? Because it can predict the future. They've done multiple tests. Look it up, heart math. One word, I believe, heart math. So if your pineal gland, your light sensor in your brain, the third eye, can sense cosmic consciousness, can literally pick up photons coming from the sun and from the universe through miles of the earth and still keep you in rhythm, then you know your consciousness permeates everything. That's a pretty good illustration. And your heart predicts this electromagnetic field that is intrinsically connected to everyone and senses everything and is connected to the great field of the one song of creation, the universe. And it can predict the future. It can sense into the future. Why? The present moment's pretty powerful. That's how you get intuition. Your third eye can be open to the whole of the universe, the one song of creation, and your heart can predict, can see, and can feel the future, can sense it. And that, if you're looking up that heart math experiment, basically put thousands of people in front of a screen with a computer randomly generating images, and most of the images were pretty things, dogs, cats, mountains, and every once in a while a horrific picture would come, and the body of the witness, the observer, the biodynamics of the electricity or whatever you measure it in the energy, what do you call that? Biofeedback. It would change up to 4 or 5, maybe even 6 seconds before that negative image is about to be put up. The body would show that it knows. Okay. So vertical path versus horizontal. Horizontal consumerism. You're an object. You're just here to have fun, and then you die one day and you get buried in a box, and everybody cries, and then that's it. Or a vertical path. You have a tool, like a visionary third eye, a pineal gland in your brain. Every human has one, unless there's some kind of weird defect. And it has the ability to connect to all of creation. And so what do the upside down controller people do? They put fluoride in the water because it calcifies that organ, or that gland, I should say, sorry. It calcifies that gland, which basically turns it off. So they are consciously the controllers of this, the manipulators of this planet, which, everything is what it is. They are consciously hitting us with drugs and substances to turn off our light sensor, our soul sensor, our consciousness sensor. And that's pathetic. So you have to not drink fluoride water. Please don't drink fluorinated water. It's not that you're just killing the potential of your spiritual growth in a big way. I mean, you could still become a nice person and all, but if that thing gets really calcified, you can't perceive the world around you as being 98% empty space and the flow of energy through things as easily. That's why they want to break it down, because if they get that light sensor, your consciousness, soul, what do you call it, antenna, all blocked up, then it's really easy to turn people into cattle and convince them, like we said from the beginning, that you are an object, that you're just a name with a bank account and a job and a bad history with your dad, and that's all you are, is all this collection of words and thoughts and feelings and judgments and that create identities. You're just all these identities, and then one day eventually your body gives out and all those identities die, and all your stuff goes to someone else, and they stick you in a box and stick you in the ground to waste space, and the worms eat you, and that's it. That's horizontal. Or vertical path. Which one do you want? Your third eye is open to the consciousness of the universe. You have the whole ocean of the universe at your disposal at any moment in time if you're in the present moment. That's how synchronicity starts happening. That's how coincidence starts happening, is that people they're in the moment enough, at least enough, where they're not distracted, so that flow of consciousness, which is flowing through everybody simultaneously, not like a dictator of a planet that thinks of things as objects, and I want to dictate to the planet and make things this way. I want to flip it the other way. That other way is consciousness. If this is one song of creation, it's everywhere. It doesn't stop. Your skin is not the end of you. You already know that with your electromagnetic field, your aura, which we were talking about. The golden principle is what I call it. I don't like that other word. The golden principle is that treat everyone like you would want to be treated, as in look at the world as an extension of you. And now we know as consciousness it is. When you kill something, you're killing part of yourself, because the energy is flowing through, the consciousness is flowing through everything. That's why they don't want you to understand that, because how would you go to war and murder millions of people if the same consciousness is flowing through every single heart? That is why the upside down makes us label ourselves, like we've been saying, as objects first, because then once you're an object, then all you have is identities. That's the first thing they get with you, is make you an object. You're not a flow of energy. You're not a conscious being. You're an object that's going to die one day. You might even believe you're a soul, but you're still operating from the pre-context that your whole life is based around, I'm not connected to anything. I'm small. I don't, what's important is money, success, family, all that, all this kind of stuff. So once you have identity, then they control you. Because then you're listening to language, and you're letting the narration in your voice, in your brain, which is based on duality, own you. It owns you. Turn it off right now if you don't believe me. Stop talking in your head right now. Do it. Keep doing it right now. I guarantee you there's words going through your head. And if you're one of the few that can actually do that, congratulations. You found your space and your silence, at least part of it. That word invasion is how they make us victims. Because we're first objectified, then the language of words. Why do you think in those older texts they say that the Tower of Babel was destroyed when the alien gods came back and saw how the beings, which we are us, that they had created, had started getting smart and started building this Tower of Babel, which is actually not trying to go to the heaven god that's the supreme consciousness. It's literally, they're trying to become like the Anunnaki that created us. And they started building stuff and getting intelligent enough, so that's why they say the alien gods in these ancient books came back and destroyed the Tower of Babel, scattered all the people, and gave them what? What did he do? What did these alien gods, plural, do? They gave everybody different languages. Why? I mean, think about it. Why does the earth have so many languages? I don't think that's because we need that many languages. Anyway, but that's why they did that, because language controls you. So first they make you an object. You're not a flow of energy, but has a conscious support of the whole universe. Once you're an object, then your whole life is based on your identities and what you identify with. Let's put it that way too, what you identify with. So that's why you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're this or that. They just make you fight. Then the fighting starts. How does that, the identity, what is it based on? Language. And then you manipulate the language, like we were saying earlier, political correctness, where you can't call someone a liar anymore, and then it becomes more, then it just flips, that's upside down. You can't call someone a liar, you have to say you're disingenuous. That's flipping upside down. That's not being honest. That's not being true in the present moment. That's smearing your soul, thinning yourself to where you basically don't exist. And after you don't exist, after you're smeared, then you're the last one, a victim. Then they make you a victim of your own language that's running through your own brain, because you can't sense anything bigger than that in the conscious universe. You just sense the words going through your brain, the duality of the brain, because everything sitting up here has been based on, hey, let's make it all dual. And through that dualism, create a quagmire. The quagmire is like quicksand, and that's what creates victim consciousness for everybody. Because then you're like flailing around in quicksand, and the only way to get out is to push someone else down in reality. Because everything's based on duality then. They've got everybody, look at the talking heads, they choke off the throat chakra, which is with a tie. They tie off the throat, which is the center of truth. They tie it off, they close it. Then they cover up the chest, the heart, the center of them, the power center, which is the third, which would be their own willpower. It's all sold for money. It's all given for the horizontal game. They've given over their identity, not to their soul, but to some corporation that's going to pay them a lot of money to tell lies, basically, or just just say words, to create duality. And if you look at these shows, there's people arguing. What is that doing to human consciousness day in, day out, day in, day out? It makes us base. It denatures us. It makes us victims to what? Lies. Half-truths, liars, straight-out manipulators. It makes us victim to being exploited and taken out of the present moment. We're not in the present moment anymore, and that's where we live, and that's where they want to take us out of, because they know we have power there. Then you won't play all, I mean, listen to me, I know about this present moment. I'm not going to play all these games. I'm not going to listen to CNN. They just lie to you every single day of your life. And they're doing it on purpose. That's what you have to understand. The media these days is owned by the same upside down creating force on the world that's pretty much evil. Oh, not pretty much, is evil. And wants us to not be united, not to be intelligent, not to have our cosmic consciousness, not to have a life that's not based on chasing money and objects. Well, how can you do that? You lie about your origin to everybody. They don't tell us our real origin as a species. They take away our third eye, our light sensing, our conscious and soul center. They close off the heart and ruin the blood that flows through it with a poison food supply, and make us dependent on things outside of us by making us an object, like we were just saying. So they do a great job, because you could see 90% of the world or more has no clue who they are. At least in the Western world, that's all murdering themselves. It's working perfectly. So if you know that, and it's working perfectly, and you can see the prison, and you can see the key, it's up to you. You going to use that key, or are you just going to say, well, this prison's comfortable. At least I get to watch Netflix. And I get Taco Tuesday, is that enough? You really want to get to your deathbed and have regrets about your soul's purpose in this life? Not regrets like, oh my God, I never went to Venezuela. Oh my God, I never dated Tiffany. No, about why you're here, your destiny from the mystery of life that's put into you from the moment you're born. The moment that first breath happens and the vertical path starts of your consciousness flowing through your body, and the present moment, dynamic awareness. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. It's a 45-minute one here. So there's a path out. We don't have to be victims. We don't have to suffer to the influences of language, the manipulation of language. We don't have to let them turn us into identity thieves. See, that's the thing. They call identity theft everywhere. And what is that really? What they're really saying is our soul identity has been stolen from us as a species. That's what they're really saying, because it's the upside down. So they're talking about someone stealing your name. No, in reality, what that's a reflection of in cosmic consciousness is them stealing our origin and our ability to be soul beings. And the last one, can we get rid of being objects? Can you feel your body? Can you feel through things? Can you realize that this is 98% empty space? Can you sense the energy in your body? Can you sense the chi between your hands, the energy between your hands? Can you experiment with the energy of plants, the energy of animals? They're all different. So becoming empty space is a first step to like kind of understanding that you're not, you know, an object. You're not an identity. And breathing is really good for that, because breathing is what? Insubstantial. It doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a name. We call it air, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so much love to everyone. Please be kind to yourself and allow the vertical path. Allow your soul to find you. Listen to your own heart. Don't trust objects and things outside of you unless it's a good friend that is helping you do this very same thing. And may the mystery of life be with you, and may your destiny always keep the light shining